Welcome, councillors and staff. Notice hereby given the ordinary meeting of West Coast Council is now open. Recording the meeting in accordance with local government meeting procedure regulations 2015. The public is advised that the proceedings of the meeting of council will be recorded on digital media to assist in the preparation of the minutes and to ensure that a true and accurate account of debate and discussions of the meeting is available. West Coast Council acknowledges the traditional custodians on the land on which we gather today and pay respects to elders past, present and emerging. Item 124 is record of attendance, apologies and leave of absence for meeting. Item 2, financial interest. Chairperson, this time of the meeting asks any councillor that may have a financial interest in any item on the agenda can declare now or before the item of discussion. Okay, we'll keep moving. Item 3, confirmation of the minutes. Recommendation is that the minutes of the ordinary meeting of the West Coast Council held at the West Coast Council Chambers on the Tuesday the 12th of December 2023, a copy of which having been previously circulated to councillors prior to the meeting, be confirmed as true and accurate record. Someone like to move that way? Move Councillor Ivanicky, secondly Councillor Butterfield. Put to a vote. All those in favour? Aye. Against? Carried. Item 4 is public participation and question time. Got no staff in the gallery. Couldn't think of the words. Apologies. We haven't got any other questions on it? No. Okay, we'll keep moving then. Item 5, councillors raise issues and information. There's no questions on notice. Is there any questions without notice, councillors? Councillor, okay.
Through you, Mayor.
Yes.
As we're headed into the football season, is it possible to investigate the issues of the closed toilets at the Queenstown Crows club rooms to have reopened prior to the start of the season?
Run by the club, aren't they?
Through you, Mayor, that's the public toilets over there?
In the club rooms, the toilets inside the club rooms?
The club rooms are leased to the Queenstown Crows, so
they're not maintained by council.
No, the whole thing's on.
I believe they're of the understanding that it is.
I don't believe so. They've got a lease over the whole club rooms.
Can we communicate that with the Queenstown committee, please?
Queenstown Crows?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
No other questions, councillors? No.
Through you, Mayor.
Yes, councillor.
Is it possible for council management to investigate the area around the business in the Harold Street roundabout for safety issues? There's no boundary separating the businesses from the roundabout. There has been some incidences and some near misses of people moving from the business onto the roundabout. Is that possible just to assess and bring a report back to the table?
I'll have to take that one on notice, so we'll look at costs for doing that report and then advise council, but we'll take that on notice for the next meeting.
I'd never like to see a fatality in that area where there is a possibility.
Thanks, councillor. Any other questions without notice? No other questions without notice? Any motions without notice? And there's no motions on notice. Item 6 is Mayor and Councillor Dorries and communication. For noting that Council resolved that the Mayor's and Councillor Dorries and communications as presented be noted. Any discussions on any matters, councillors?
Through you, Mayor, if I could just add, I forgot to add that I went to the emergency management meeting on the 30th. So if I could just get that updated later on.
Thanks, Deputy Mayor. Any others, councillors? No. Item 7 is council workshops. For noting, the council resolved to note the following workshops were conducted by council since the last ordinary meeting. Tuesday, the 23rd of January, Bluestone Mines and West Coast Drill Award process discussions. And yeah. Okay, nothing else. No other discussion on that, councillors. No. Item 8 is council's decision status report action item list for open session. Council resolved that the status report action item for open council meeting decisions be received. Any discussions on any of them matters, councillors? And yes, I do understand that still pending is the letter to Ms Gallagher. I will attempt to get that done in the next
Thank you, Mayor.
short while.
I did have it noted.
We did get a little bit of feedback today about the advisory council, so we'll keep pushing that. And I did mention that we probably wait till the new lead principal starts and we get her along and to a council meeting or council workshop, sorry, and or a discussion with councillors, and maybe bring that topic up then with her as well.
Had someone from the public, and I just want
Oh yes.
to check, and you'd have to suspend some orders if you wanted.
Yep. Sorry, did you, being a public, did you have any questions or anything you want?
No, my boss has just sent me along because he wants us to have a reference.
Oh, okay. Thank you. No other discussions on the council decision and status report action list, councillors? No. Okay, moving on. Item 9, committees of council reports and recommendation. Council resolved that the council committee reports and as presented be noted. We've got the emergency management committee meeting, and that's it. Any discussions on that, councillors? No. Keep moving then. Item 10, general manager's report. The recommendation is the general manager's report as presented be noted. Someone like to move that way, please? Move Councillor Stringer, second to Councillor Mackay. Open for discussions, councillors. Any discussions on the general manager's report?
Through you, Mayor.
Yes, councillor.
Can I just ask, page 22, the financials, why our financials are currently unavailable?
Because the accountant's been on leave or away from the office.
I knew there must be a reason. We would not have financials.
Through you, Mayor. I have a question from the Customer and Corporate Services on page 21. Given we've been talking a lot about playgrounds, the playground inspection training, could I just find out a little more about what was involved, like how many staff, how often are you going to be doing those inspections?
Scott?
Yeah, through you, Mayor. The inspections involve probably the main one that we do is a day-to-day visual inspection for our staff that's basically in the area each morning doing either clean up or doing some work, have the ability to visually inspect the playgrounds for defaults or anything. I think it'll not be able to fill in, but we've probably put at least 15 people through it in the last 12 months. That's one that we keep turning over and over and over as staff leave, with something now that we've got to have, and we also have we just completed training over for some level 2 inspections, and then we do an audit inspection every 12 months.
How often do we do the level 2 inspections?
They're done 3 months, depends on the reports that come in from the other guys, from the lower inspections, but they're 3 monthly reports,
Yep.
or 3 monthly inspections.
And then the audit report is external normally.
Correct, yeah.
So we have a system of inspections ranging from daily through to a more detailed 3 monthly one, and then an external yearly one, which provides us very good coverage for the safety and upgrades of the playground. I was in another local government area, I won't say where, and they've actually put up signs saying it's the responsibility of any user to do a visual inspection prior to using the playground, so that's
So
something
that's
I might
part
look
of training as well, now. That's what they get to.
Yeah, so we'll be looking at upgrading our signage as we go to new playgrounds as well, to encourage parents to check the playground before they let their kids use it, because of course between the time our staff check it and 30 minutes later something could change on the playground.
Through you, Mayor, to Granville Harbour, thank yous actually. The toilets at Granville Harbour, there's been several people commenting about the cleanliness of the toilet down there.
I don't know if we still do that or if that's Parks now.
That's parks.
Parks, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, well,
I think they're using the same contractor we do though, but
Yeah.
yep, they're paying it, the bill, so
Yeah.
well done Parks
Brilliant.
for taking that over.
Yeah, good. And the second one was the time frame turnaround if there's been issues with the skip bin. It's been absolutely brilliant.
Yep.
And on that point, the green waste that accumulates down there, obviously it can go into the bin, but there's no science to say that. Would that be something we could look at, or are we happy to continue doing what we're doing?
Scott?
No, through you, Mayor, we'll certainly take that on notice. Preferably, we would prefer the green waste to go into the bin. So it's a lot of clean up afterwards and fire remediation.
Yep.
Take on notice and signs and put something up, so green waste to be put in the bin.
Yeah,
And,
that's why most people don't do it, I think.
Yep.
The ones that don't burn it anyhow.
and I'm sure Scott will pass on the compliment to the waste crew who have done a great job
Yeah,
over
they have. It's been
the
excellent.
Christmas period.
And I have one more question regarding page 40 under the capital works update and the Queenstown climbing wall. I know that's progressing. I wondered first of all if we can update the projected completion time on that to be a bit more accurate, but more importantly, the Queenstown, the Zian and soon to be Strawn gyms, will they be impacted by the Queenstown one, like the climbing wall? Is there going to be closures? The Zian one with the pool, will there be closures to the gym? And if so, I think we've got to get ahead of that and let the people using it, or the hirers in Strawn's case, let them know. So we're not just rocking up one day and it's closed.
Yeah, so in terms of providing better detail on the updates, most of the time we can only provide that once contracts for construction are signed, because it's the construction company that will determine the project plan. We are very close to being in a position to do that for the gym upgrades, so the contracts will be signed very shortly, and we're working now to consider how we keep the Zian gym open. So we're looking at options to do that through the construction period. I don't imagine there'll be any impact from the pool upgrades, and the pool upgrades are starting today or tomorrow. Pool repairs, sorry. Pool repairs are starting tomorrow. We're not expecting any impact from that on the gym, but certainly the upgrade to the actual gym will mean that that building is not accessible for that period, and we're looking at alternatives there. Sorry, I think I forgot the second part of your question.
It was just Zian Strawn, the Strawn Rec Hall.
Yeah, so the rec hall won't be impacted by the construction of the gym down in Strawn. That construction is actually starting while you're marking out foundations tomorrow. And as soon as we have initial meetings with the construction company and have contracts signed, then we'll be able to provide better information on timeframes. With the rock climbing wall and gym upgrades in Queenstown, we're not imagining at the moment there'll be a direct impact on the actual gym facilities, though there might be for very set periods. We'll be looking to go out for construction tender on that soon, and once we have a construction company, then we'll start looking at timing and impact.
Thank you. Thank you, Jim. Yes, Councillor.
Through you, Mayor. The media section on page 29 relates to the staffed petrol station returning early next year in Strawn. Has council had any indication of when this will happen? It's been out of action since April. and there is a great deal of congestion with cars at the airport.
The DA approved, Alison?
It'd be very close, but they still have to go through the building application process, which hasn't commenced.
So they'll be close to having building approval, then they'll need, close to having planning approval, which we expect to go out shortly. Then they'll need to get building approval. So we don't have any further indication than that. We don't understand any construction timeframes or the timeframes they have to submit their documents. It is entirely up to the proponent to actually make sure that they have those applications in. We have very limited ability to influence the building approvals process, which is largely up to private building surveyors and the proponents. Would be correct, Alison?
Yeah, we have no control over it, that's their job to submit to us.
So I guess the short answer to your question would be, depends on what early this year means.
No other questions, councillor? We'll put that to a vote. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Item 11 is outstanding advocacy correspondence. For noting, council resolved that the outstanding correspondence as presented be noted. Any discussions on any of that correspondence, councillors? No. Keep moving.
Sorry, Mayor, we do have three there that we'd like some guidance on.
That's correspondence.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yep, so item 12 is correspondence. Council resolved that the correspondence, both incoming and outgoing, as presented be noted. We have three that we'd like some advice on for further response. Envirodynamics, West Coast Weed Action Plan, Weed Action Fund grant success. Department of State Growth, Andrew and Harvey Street roundabout. The letter we got back from that, and Minister of Aboriginal Affairs update on the new Aboriginal Culture, Heritage and Protection Act. We'll start with the first one, West Coast Weed Action Plan, Fund grant access. Councillors?
We've discussed before whether there be councillor representation
On that committee.
in writing back. We'd like to inform the consultant who would be doing that for the purposes of the weed action plan.
Correct. The councillors, is there anyone interested in putting their hand up to go on that committee, Weed Action Group?
I thought Councillor Hamer had expressed interest in doing that.
I think Dwayne also expressed interest on being on it.
Yep.
As well, is that right, Dwayne?
Yep.
Yeah, we done
Yes.
that last council
Yep.
meeting.
Yeah, so this is slightly different to the ongoing weed action group. This is a project that will involve many of the same people, but it's to develop a weed action plan. But if the same councillors are happy to, then we'll put forward that information.
That was not part of the weed management committee already.
No. It'll probably be nearly exactly the same people,
people.
but it's a slightly different project and process.
It's just setting the plan, putting,
Probably don't look further at that and combine.
Yep.
yeah.
So
is.
the plan that's developed by this project will then probably go to the committee. But
We have a
One,
bit
two,
more,
one would be interested.
Yeah.
could we have a bit more information on it, please?
it will be an involvement in, there's some info in the letter there, but it'll be an involvement in a consultation process and in a group helping the consultant pull together a plan on what to do about weeds on the West Coast.
Yeah, I'd be interested in
So
that.
probably, as the general manager said, it will be probably that group that you're already part of would be part of it. And they may do it as part of the group, but they want, I guess, individuals to put their hand up if they want to be part of that project, that's all.
So we'll write back and identify Councillor Hamer and Councillor Jordan.
Yep. Thank you. Department of State Growth, Andrew and Harvey Street roundabout, just in response to the letter that we got
Through you,
back.
Mayor. My feedback was, it's incredibly disappointing to see such a quick handball from the State Growth.
Yes.
Classic work.
Have we identified who is it Taswater Infrastructure?
Taswater,
Yeah.
through you there, Taswater
really State Road need to be contacting Taswater
Yeah.
to fix the problem. Instead of trying to import it straight off to somebody else. Their obligations, Taswater has defected their infrastructure, if that's what they're saying, so.
It is what it's.
Yeah, so they just need to contact Taswater and
Do something.
repair it.
So,
Could we, you want some skill, sorry, through you, Mayor, you're looking for some assistance on what to write. Perhaps let them know that we're getting all the complaints coming through to us, and we'll just simply refer all the damaged vehicle complaints, all of the damage to human health complaints, straight on to State Growth. I mean,
So a reply asking them to contact
Taswater.
and
refer all of those
Refer all
vehicle damage complaints directly to State Growth.
Mm.
Because people are going to get damaged cars, it's a bloody mess, and they're going to get, people are going to complain about whiplash and all sorts in there. It's a pretty decent bump, yeah? It's getting worse rapidly. People are now driving all the way around on the other side of the road to avoid it, and it's becoming a real traffic management problem.
And item 3 is the update of the new Aboriginal Cultural Heritage Protection Act.
So we just wanted to know whether this is something councillors were interested in trying to get more information on or making submissions on. We haven't to date made any submissions on the review of the Act or asked for a briefing, but we're getting these updates and they're asking who wants to be consulted. So we're asking for council advice on how interested you are in the review of the Act. It does have some impact on our planning processes, but largely that's done by the technical planning staff.
Councillor, do we want to invite someone along to give us a presentation on what
For the
they're
workshops,
proposing,
I don't
the
know.
workshop? See whether they'd be interested to come around and just give us a bit of I guess, a background of what they're looking at doing, and there's a fair bit involved in the letter. Mentioned a fair bit in there.
I struggled.
Ditto.
Yeah, it's a difficult read, isn't it?
Yes.
So maybe they might be able to
Some
explain a
plain
little
English
bit.
would be great.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll write to them and
Especially
ask them.
as we implement it in our community, we can't give them
Yeah.
that document.
So we'll write to them asking for a workshop presentation.
Yep. Okay. No other correspondence there that council feel that we need to respond to? Okay, we've got find it. Item 13 is the mountain bike trial count. The recommendation is that council note this report of monitoring of mountain bike users on mountain bike trails on the west coast. Someone like to move that way, please? Move councillor Hamer, seconded councillor Butterfield. Discussions, councillor, on the
Yes.
item.
I really appreciate the time that was taken to put this together. I'm wondering if this can be included monthly in the GM's report alongside something like the aerodrome landings or the facility rentals.
I don't know if we can do it monthly. I'll just have to check with staff on how we actually collect, whether we need to physically go up there and download data. But our aim would be to either provide this report similar quarterly at least, like we do with the shuttle numbers. But if we can do it monthly, we'll certainly look into that.
It's great to have a baseline to understand the trends.
Noting the discrepancies also.
Yeah.
Okay. Put to a vote then, councillor. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Item 14 is growth and change acquittals. The recommendation is that council note this report and attach acquittals from the Taylor Progress Association and the unconformity. Someone like to move that way, please? Move councillor Newman, seconded councillor Graham. Open for discussions, councillors.
I attended another meeting yesterday where grants and whatever go out, and they were very complimentary about the fact that they had some finalisation of it. And I think it's something that us as council should be well aware of when we look at the amount of money that we put into the community, and they were very adamant about it. If people didn't put an acquittal in, there were consequences, and I think that's where we sit as well. I would hope around this table anyhow.
Yeah, and further to that, we're certainly seeing a lot more acquittals coming through the reporting system here, which is great.
Yeah, so the growth and change team has changed how they're doing it, and they're doing a very good proactive job in following up.
Very good. Okay, let's put that to a vote then. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Okay, item 15 is a report on the West Coast Council Reflect RAP. Recommendation that council note and approve the internal amended completion dates for the action item. Someone like to move that way, please? Move Councillor Jordan, second Councillor Stringer. Open for discussions, councillors. Any discussions on the matter?
Yeah, three. Yeah, there's obviously been a lot of work put into this over quite a period of time. So it's, and we've talked about being part of this program, haven't we? Part of this process.
Yeah, so councillors have approved the RAP previously. This is just that the approval process took longer than we originally thought. So obviously that's meant the timeframes that we initially uploaded into the approval process need to be pushed out a little bit because some of them were for completion now.
Yeah.
We've only just got the approval, but we are already ticking off many of the items there, and the Growth and Change team has done a great job in pushing that through, and we've had some positive feedback from the local Aboriginal community.
Very good.
And do you think those timeframes now are going to be a bit more realistic, do you think? Or?
That they come from the team that will be delivering them, and like with all timeframes, they may need to change depending on resourcing, but
well done. Yeah, well done.
It is a good document, and congratulations to all those that are involved in that. It's a great effort.
And dovetailing all those 10 items into our programs.
Yeah.
It's been quite a challenge. So you guys have done well on this. Done really well.
Okay. Put that to a vote then. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Report on safeguarding children and young people policy. Recommendation is that that council, 1, adopt the council policy WCC 024, safeguarding children and young people, and 2, continue to advocate through the Local Government Association of Tasmania for additional state government support to implement recommendation 612 from the Royal Commission into Institutional Response to Child Sexual Abuse, and for standardised resources to be available for all councils to implement the Child and Youth Safe Organisations Act 2023 uniformly. Someone like to move that way, please?
I'll move.
Move Councillor Graham, second Councillor Newman. Open for discussions, councillors.
Through you, Mayor. LGAT got a policy on that?
No, they do not yet. So it was mandated that all councils were meant to have a policy in place by 1 January. The Child Safe Commissioner wasn't appointed. I still don't think she's in office. And therefore there hasn't been the resources provided on what these policies should look like. LGAT has been advocating for standardised policies and things like that. But in the absence of that, councils have been helping each other, and we've essentially copied the policy from another council with some slight tweaks. And we, as per the recommendation, ask councils to continue to advocate with LGAT to actually get some resourcing to help councils figure out how to comply with what is a relatively complicated legislative regime. There's requirements for investigations and referrals and that type of thing. And so it will be really important for LGAT to actually come up with a standardised way. Otherwise, we're going to need to look at additional resourcing. And there is a requirement to actually appoint a child safe officer. We're still not 100% sure what that role is meant to do. We're waiting some guidelines on that as well. And, so yeah.
And the reason I asked is very pointed. If we adopt this policy today, are we putting the cart before the horse in terms of what LGAT's approach might be and what training we need to formulate around that policy?
No doubt at some point in the future, LGAT might have a standardised policy. They're still advocating for the resources to develop it. So I would imagine that is some time away, and nearly all councils across Tasmania have implemented this policy or similar, and it's a legislative requirement that you have a policy. So in December, I think I implemented an internal corporate policy to make sure that we were compliant. But it is meant to be a council policy because it does need to cover councillors as well as staff.
So on that note, we've moved both 1 and 2 there. Lindsay, you happy to continue second both 1 and 2?
Thank you. Sorry.
Yes, I agree with Councillor Graham that we need some direction from LGAT. One of the things I think that you're going to need to manage is archiving. That's something in my other job that we have to do pretty aggressively. You have to be able to put your hands on a document that might have been filled out 5 years ago, 15 years ago. And contractors, I noticed that contractors are referred to as that this will also apply to them, and obviously there's some systems that will have to be worked out about how we record contractors, so it's a really big ball of wax. It's not a simple tick in a box.
That's right, our induction programs are going to have to change for all of our contractors and all of those things, aren't they?
Look, the implementation of applying our policies to contractors is difficult for council across the spectrum. It's something that we're working on. There has been some vast improvements in induction processes this year. We're still working on how to include contractors and things. That's where standardised resources will really help. It is a big problem for small councils like West Coast Council when new legislative requirements come in that do add to the administrative burden. Other councils are already hiring additional staff simply to implement the Child Safe Framework. That said, it is it's a very important framework. We have relatively limited exposure to risk, but still the risk is not zero. I know through the digitisation program, the team will be looking at how we do archiving and data storage, and that's something that we know we need to improve on. And Scott is already looking at contractor management from an ops perspective on safety and things like uniform, and we'll continue to update the induction framework to try and cover contractor inductions.
The ongoing implementation of these policies, and we need to ensure that we operate with these types of policies in our mind, of course. But this has a bottom line hit on us. This is going to hit our rate base, the cost of implementing these things. And it's important that everybody knows that. This is going to cost money. And if we don't do it right, then it's going to cost us even more. So, you know, all these things, Hobart and Launceston centric, where they have the resources to implement, we don't. This is going to have a hit on our bottom line. So this will put rates up, these sorts of policies.
I guess
it's a story, it will.
Yeah, and it's right across all institutions have cop the same.
Yeah.
It's a big burden on a lot of organisations.
We'd certainly recommend councillors continue to advocate with the state government to actually provide additional funding to councils for all this sort of administrative work.
Yep.
Every time there are increased requirements, that does add to the workload. You can see that through amendments to the Local Government Act, say requiring asset management planning, or amendments to the Archive Act. For example, technically we should be archiving every correspondence councillors have with members of the community.
Exactly, and one another.
And including phone conversations, which obviously we don't do, but that's a requirement under the Archive Act. And the reason that we can't always comply with the requirements out of state government is simply a lack of resources. So it is something for councillors to continue to advocate on.
Absolutely, and not wanting to add it to this motion. I'm going to let this motion go up as it is, but can I ask that you write to whatever department's in charge of this and ask for them to provide whatever resources they have available to run it out in their organisation?
It's DPAC, and certainly I would think that the Mayor would and other councillors would continue to raise it with the Premier and other ministers when you get the chance to.
Anyway, back to the motion.
Thanks, Councillor. Any other discussions on the matter? put the matters proposed for closed meeting. Recommendation is items 19/24 to 31/24 discussed by council in closed session. Someone like to move that way, please? Move Councillor Newman, second to Councillor McKay. Put to a vote, all those in favour? Against, carried. Item 18 is closed meeting. I'd ask the public if they'd like to depart, please. Thank you. Staff are right to say thank you very much for your attendance.